You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box. Yours truly, Kate of Gaia, here on criticalmassradio.co.uk, coming at you live from an undisclosed location somewhere in the universe. And that's all that really matters. Yeah, sorry, just plugging away there on that essay. Got a little more written on it. Ended up in a couple of conversations after the show, so no worries. I mean, that's just the way things go. And it's amazing. I can't even describe a lot of the times, some of the phone calls and what have you that come in, but it just let it be known that guys, you're making the change. This is changing, and it's phone calls that I, especially of late, and the different discussions that we've been having that don't just add reason to doing what it is we're doing, and if the ego needs justified of I knew I was right, that pales in comparison to the reality of knowing that humanity is awakening, and it's awakening quickly. And like I said, I've talked to some people, one in particular today, that has been through a proverbial mill, where I count my blessings as having not had to endure quite such a journey to maintain the road I'm on. And but I got to tell you, it is more than inspiring to know that regardless, there are points of consciousness out there of you and I that you're just not going to yield. You're just not going to let go. And that's exactly all I ever look for. It's that looking for the land as you've been at sea for so long and you're out of supplies, your crew's got scurvy, you've been in the doldrums and came through the Sargasso Sea and survived that. You've survived all the pollution jeers, all the plastic floating around and the different jeers around the planet, lovely stuff that. But to finally see over the horizon that little bit of land, and that's where you're yelling, land ho, yeah, from your crow's nest, because that's where you're going to be the cause, at the highest point of your mast, at the highest point of your ship. And there are many that are starting to call land ho, and it's pretty cool. So what I think I will do, like I said, I haven't got this done by any stretch. I did add a bit more. I shared a few paragraphs this afternoon on criticalmassradio.co.uk, the afternoon Outside the Box UK edition that I do usually every Tuesday. Right now it's from 2 until 4 p.m., but typically from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard on Tuesdays. So this is the 2 for Tuesday. And I'm going to share what I've got right now. Just got to double check a couple of things here. There we go. And where are we? Yeah, it's called Jack of All Trades and Master of None. Yeah, well, it's spelled a little differently, but you know how I spell. And I like to make things blatantly obvious. And this is exactly what I'm going to do in this particular essay. Because the simple trick is this. If one sound can contain numerous different intentions within it, could it not be rational and reasonable to consider that there was a malfeasant intent placed in there in the most sublime, most innocent ways, so that you would be saying things and literally creating your own death and destruction? With simple terms, and this goes back a long time, and it's beautiful to see it turning full circle with people coming out. This is one of the joys of this, is watching people when posts come in or whatever. It's where you see the confirmations of all the things that we've been talking about. And again, these are different points of consciousness that well, in my case, I haven't had any contact with or whatever, and lo and behold, sharing the same things, and this is how you know the consciousness is resonating, and this is why you know we do this together, and just have a lot of bliss when you see that. So here we go. I'll just go through what I've got, and then this one, she'll be a doozy when I'm done. But like I said, was off track a little bit with phone calls and whatnot. So no worries. I mean, it's all good. I wanted to have this finished, but it doesn't matter. All things in time, all things for a reason. Everything's perfect. So no stress. So Jack of all traits, master of none. The subtleties or subtle ties of our languages and the coercion or heart shun of the sounds are quite something, in that every sound is a magnetic electric creation of energy of the highest order. If one controls the intent via deceptions in these sounds, one creates the creation of the reality itself. It's how universes are created, after all, and how one reality or another is maintained, as long as you can dupe any and all other creators via their own ignorance into doing that. In this world, that is achieved quite easily where, like children drawn to an amusement park or a toy store, we are then trapped within our own creativity at the behest and control of another. We truly have built the better mousetrap and baited it for ourselves. We create and build all the toys of industry, the cars, the homes, the skyscrapers, the courts, the jails, to keep ourselves captive while those that control our lives buffet, sit back on their yachts and in their castles that we built for them, and they laugh. We built their banks that control all flows of money while they steal from our supposed compensation from each other to the 95% of our income levels, and we think this is peachy. We built their castles, died building their cathedrals, routinely slaughter each other in sacrifice rituals we affectionately call wars instead of genocides, and we think this is somehow normal. Our movement is restricted with hall or phallus passes called ID, with everything under the sun registered to their mother whore called the Crown Corporation. We built their government offices, their Parliament and Congress buildings, and fitted them with the finest finery, where those that get to enjoy them get paid handsomely from the blood and sweat of humanity, and we think this is somehow normal. Well, we pay for the weapons that arm their dogs of military, police, and secret services that are routinely used to hunt down anyone who chooses to see all of this insanity for what it is. Insanity. Indeed, go ahead and use their ID, their banks, their governments, because if you don't, they cannot control you where you have found being controlled as a puppet on all levels is quite acceptable to you. The TV controls your views on society with a carefully programmed input that controls the masses with the wave of their magic wand, and yes, we built those for them too, and figured out all the technologies they love to steal because they're quite incapable of creating anything. Like any good magician, worth his salt, they have directed you to pick the very card they have pre-chosen, and when it shows up, you are dazzled like a child in wonderment, in awe of their skill. Some of us have seen through these tricks and sleights of hand to come to know that they are only bluffing, because bluffing is all they have. And the only tool that empowers their bluff is fear. There is a planet full of 12-year-old scared little girls, and the creepy guy with the offers of candy owns them with that fear and promise of candy. There are very few grown-ups that I have ever met, but they are typically the ones that get hassled by this creepy old guy and his dogs for exposing his pedophilic, raping tendencies. When you stand in the power of truth, you truly see how powerless and gutless these bluffers clearly are. For most people, this place is Kansas to them, very real and very physical. What they cannot see is that they have been dropped into Oz and Wonderland, fast asleep, and ruled by their nightmares here. Yes, Alice, as soon as you wake up, you will find Vorpal's sword in your hand and the head of the Jabberwock lying at your feet, since lying is what the Jabberwock does best, no? So very few take the time to see this construct because they have been too specialized into one thing or another, and why the allegory of Christ being a carpenter is so revealing. A carpenter must know something about all the trades if they are to be called a master carpenter. The carpenter is the architect, and the architect is the carpenter in that they must both speak the same language if anything at all is to be built. They are the ones that oversee the surveyors, the engineers, from the backhoe operators who dig the holes of the foundations right up to the ridge caps the roofers put on. These are the same eyes one must have for the constructing of a language, as it is just another of the same fractal story. And just like every large skyscraper, though, it must have a demolition plan in place before the first stone gets placed as well. In the same way that our complicated languages are evolving, so must there have been a proto-language of the simplest form to begin with. Figure out this, and you have access to the cornerstones to bring the whole house control down. It is in our day-to-day assumptions of common speak as we have learned to assume and presume intent based on the words used to frame that intent in the same way that, do you know what you're wearing out tonight? Versus, do you know that your tires are wearing out? Have constructs around the exact same sounds of wearing out, though, by habit, you get the intent in both cases, without effort. It is this constructing of the framework that leads to the assumptions of the core sentiment, or subject, that directs the mind, not the subject itself. This is where all objectivity gets left in the mud, due to the sheer speed at which we talk and communicate. These are the habits of generations of programming, deeply instilled, which has led to sonic blindness. So many of our day-to-day words contain a sonically destructive sound, but we spew them out of our creative torus fields through our pearly gates in mindless Babylon and on poisons. Common everyday sounds and words we use are the verbal daggers that kill our very souls and leave us ignorant and vulnerable to attack by an even less wary predator in the guise of systems public servants doing the bidding of the ones who know this game. Every sound and syllable is corrupted, and why silence is golden. The assumptions and presumptions are infinite, no matter what you say, and no matter what you say. You have to see this one once I get her done. You'll know what I mean. The trick is to learn to slow down, and I mean slow down to a virtual stop, because only then will your left mind monkey chatter expert get exposed as this self-same program called personality that makes you think it's you doing the thinking. I've written many paragraphs and essays to outline this concept to help people see what it is I'm sharing. Every sound has multiple intentions embedded in the sound, so you've likely never given that a second thought. And that's what those controlling this construct are banking on. On planet Earth, we have 7.3 billion individual universes in the form of humans, all creating another's idea of reality. This places a soul trap of soul traps, where it is my intent to spring this trap, word by word if needed. I've got another little paragraph here that I'm working on using my typical alternate spellings just to show you the intent that can be hidden in a sound. You know, it's like when you say good morning. Well, there's the hex of creation upon creation in the mirror. Good morning. Well, somebody died. Oh, wait a minute. That's what day is. Die, Latin. Right. Good day. Ooh, did it again. And we have all these positive intentions that we want to have in it, but if we didn't understand the duality of every word, then it would simply be that, a duality, where the spell was placed in the negative. Where we think we're saying positive, well, that's because we're polarized. We don't see both the positive and negative in everything. So it's the one you don't see that carries. All's fair in love and war, baby. That's kind of how it works. Ignorance of the law is not a defense of or from it, and that applies on both sides. And that is, while it can be our most formidable enemy, our most potent ally. What's good for the goose kills the gander. You know, Cain might be slaying Abel for a long time, but Abel's got some shit going on. She'll take care of business. And she does. And that's the true power of creation. And it really does boil down to the sounds and the effects that are contained within the sounds. We've been walking a very precarious tightrope for a long time, and as I've talked over the last couple of shows regarding the DNA, the DNA that is the program that built your particular body came complete with an ego program and all sorts of things embedded within it, right back to the original splicing and source of when that DNA got messed with. The human genome, the human DNA has 250 genomes that are indigenous only to the human. Nowhere else on the planet are they found. That should raise a few red flags for people. Is it also a coincidence that the E. coli strain is, 250 genomes? Interesting. Well, E. coli. So E is consciousness, co-duality, lie. So it's the consciousness duality lie. So that makes sense that it was hidden in that particular sound. And that's what I look for. I just look for the sounds to see where and what is being hidden in plain sight. But see, you can't use your eyes for this. You have to use your ears to see with. And the only way you're going to do that is to slow down, Rabbit. Remember the cartoon? Yeah. Take a shot of ether. Ether? Yeah. Kind of knocks you out. It's funny how they call it ether. Slows you down, makes you think a little bit more. Well, I wouldn't say think more, but it certainly slows your brain down enough that you might actually catch something actually thinking. It's like waking up out of a dream and you get out of bed so quickly, you don't remember your dreams. It's one of the reasons why I take the time to linger as long as I possibly can between waking up and actually opening my eyes and putting my brain and everything else into motion. This is where I catch most of my little gems of, how cool is that? I knew it. Those moments, the aha, now I get it. Yeah, but here, actually, the paragraph, I haven't even got it. I was working on it when the song was going. It's kind of funny. How many times have you got up in the morning to an alarm clock only to discover that you have no coffee and the box of teas are empty? Regardless, you turn on the television for the day's weather report to see if you can go and earn some money to make sure you can cover your bills at the end of the week, preparing yourself for the weekend. You should see how it's spelled, though. There's the magic. And it's when you start seeing this, taking multiple word meanings all connected to the same sound. And don't forget, guys, there's more than English as a language out there. But the good news is you don't have to track all of these down. You just have to get the concept. And then you can decide what intention you want to have in that sound for yourself as you create it, because, gosh darn it, aren't you just a universe and God and everything all in one? Yeah, that's kind of how it works. That's how you get around to changing the world. And you can do it on a hourly, daily, weekly, depends on how content you want to put out there and how distracted you are in the literals. I was talking about that earlier today, and a literal thing would be something like this. This is why stuff like this getting posted on my page is just, children, please. And I don't mind calling things out. Of course, it's not going to load up. What the hell is that all about? Anyway, it was something regarding oil spills. What are these captains thinking? Well, it's all I see there is distraction. And look, it's working. Where was the allegory? What can you deduce from that, or are you caught in the literal symbols presented for you? You see how tricky this reality is? What you think is normal, physical, and boats and boat captains and all the rest of it, to me is just symbology of the highest order. I don't care if it's taken on the form of a human meat stick, because quite frankly, I don't even know if there's a soul inside that, or if it's just a meat stick puppet. I met a few of those, so I know they exist, right? You'll find a lot of them in the typical militaries and police forces. They're the ones that generally have a psychosis that love to harm others, right? It's the only form of sensation I guess they would get. And, when one is heartless, one simply goes for the razzle-dazzle effect in the same way that kids get programmed through the video games, especially the murder, death, kill ones. You know, what exactly is going through a child's mind when they're out slaughtering in a video game? Especially the games today, they're very real. And whatever, I mean, if that's the kind of ingrained thoughts that you want to plant in your kid's head, don't worry. There's a job waiting for them in the U.S. military as a drone pilot, because it's just a game to them. Doesn't matter that there's real people getting offed. As far as they're concerned, all they see is a screen, just like their video games. So it's complete desensitization. So even those that have souls end up getting them shredded and drained. You know, games are fun. Sure they are. But they're certainly not good for the weak of mind. You know? Because what kind of imagination and power does a child have that's rampaging through some architectural layout of a city in a country that is not known to them? They can pretend it's some Middle Eastern country or whatever, and they're off just killing everything in sight, blowing everything up. When the mind is focused on this, never mind the fact that it's a game, guys. When the mind is focused on this, what is that mind creating? And when you understand that every thought creates, yeah, you know, you wonder why they call them Cube and Xbox. Definitely pigeonholing, wouldn't you say? At least I would anyway. And since when are people going to get the whole notion that the very thing that they're clinging to is the very thing that's killing them? The madness of it. This is the part that drives me a little bit nutty. What part of serving the system isn't serving the system? And I have to tell you, I've been talking with a lot of people lately that balls to the wall, all in. Lost homes, living in homeless shelters. Professional drifters like me. You want to call it, well, professional means for to make weary. Yeah. That's what your professionals are. Your professors, for to make weariers. Isn't that funny? As the days go by, guys, it's getting harder and harder for me to tolerate baby steps. Lack of commitment. You know, you're either in or you're out. Time's short. Your call. I already made mine. All right, we got Janet in here. It looks like we have Lynn as well, so let's get these mics opened. That's just a little short intro, and we'll carry this through and see where it goes. But let's stay on track here tonight, guys, because, well, don't worry. I'll keep it there if it drifts. Promise. So that's a fact.
Hey, Kate.
Jack.
Hi, baby. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Pure fucking truth. That's just why I saw that blue light shining, and I just pulled my ship right in. Say ahoy there.
Hey, folks.
Land ho, baby. Land ho. I agree. I was thinking about my journey, of course, but how I've been just kind of going along, and I tapped into this one stream of consciousness and truth, and I was growing and I was knowing and vibrating with that and resonating with that, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing through these different eyes, and I'm not really resonating with that vibration any longer. And I move along and I find another stream of truth, and I came up with this emerald table is the most stable stream of consciousness and truth that I have found yet. And so here I am. I have had the opportunity today to see through numerous points of my consciousness that are all at varying stages of development, so to speak.
Yep.
And it's fabulous. One of my dearest other points of consciousness is having her ahas, and I'm like just laughing along with it, knowing that with each aha that she has, we're playing with the DNA, and it's affecting the collective. And
Sure
I'm
it is.
Giggling away. I'm just giggling away, going, "You go, baby, you go." You know, and she's talking about how she treats herself and self-love, and she says, "You know, I treat everybody better than myself." And I'm like, "Oh my God, yes, I understand exactly what you're talking about. Been there. I had those ahas, and I'm so glad you're here, having those same ahas, you know." And may I just say, la 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 la. Sorry,
Yeah, pretty much.
I just, yeah, okay. And I
Well
just
said,
got
Lynn.
done.
Well said.
Yes,
And,
Yes, it sure is.
yeah, we got Barb and we have Mystified on the line now,
Yes.
too. So there we go.
Hi,
Hello, guys.
hi.
Hey, Mother
Hello.
Goose. Mystified.
That's what we want on this line is that laughter. That laughter is so wonderful. And Kate, you have done a wonderful job in guiding us, leading us to this point. Relax, sweetheart. We are paying attention, and we are going to show you that we don't have to be literal in everything that we say. Remember, I appointed you as my little sister. Now, you know, actually, that couldn't be a literal thing because you're in Canada and I'm here in Washington, D.C. in the snow.
Yeah, but you're my baby sister. It's all good.
No, you're my baby sister. I want to be a big sister. I've never been a big sister. I've always been the baby. You're the baby, baby. You're the baby girl. I'm the big sister.
Okay, works for me. This just in, by the way, guys. This just in. I just got tagged from a friend of mine who's worked with me ongoing, on and off for the last few years. Here's what he writes. Hey, how's it going? Got out of jail today. LOL. They only held me for 30 minutes. Wouldn't give them the name or jurisdiction. I wrote, perfect.
Right.
It goes up. See, that's the power of a week ago Friday. Now it's starting to show up. And this is what I've been waiting for.
Effect.
It's already out there. And guys, this is the power you wield. That whole layer of the name is stripped, ripped, and gypped, gone. Yeah. No name, no game.
Yeah, I've been sharing that with everyone that I see and all over the place. So cool.
They have to be willing. Not more than 15 minutes ago, we're speaking to a younger point of consciousness and having legal issues. And I said, you know you can get out of that. You know. And I said, Gaia.wordpress.com. And this certain point of consciousness heard about you quite a few months ago. And he said, yeah, I know, but then that means that I would just have to play the game all the way. And I went, bingo. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry. You can't have a male and a female virgin halfway in and halfway out and calling each other a virgin. You know, you either in bed and go balls deep or you get out. It's the only way, you know. But that is so indicative of the ego psyche of, well, if I commit to this, then I'll have to stand in more truth and yeah.
Yeah. It's like when the tsunami wave comes in, the lower wave comes in first and it greases the way for the next wave that comes behind it, and the next wave that comes behind it, it's less and less resistance. Well, that's what we're doing. We're just plowing straight through it.
Oh, the big wave's coming in, boys and girls.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear that? Hawaii's supposed to sing? I can hear it.
Wave riders.
Yeah, I heard the final countdown on the radio.
Mm-hmm. You know, speaking of greasing, well, that's us out there waxing our surfboards. That's what the Silver Surfer is, and the only way you're going to ride out this storm is to get that that new surfboard. We'll call it the Vorpal Sword model that cuts through all the bullshit, rides all the highest waves, and renders you untouchable in that permanent bubble shield of law of truth that you put around you. But yeah, this and I got to tell you, this individual that just tagged me, he's had his ups and downs, and we've had many discussions and walked parallel sort of roads, and and there it is. That's all it took. 30 minutes, no name, no game. Get them out. That is I got to tell you guys, this is the first thing that hit me when I read that. That is the ripple effect already in full swing that somebody's coming through from a week ago Friday. And I knew, it took me a few days to get my zone back, you know, the big high, big low thing I went through on Friday night, Saturday. But I'll tell you, when it hit, it was like, that's it. It's all ripped. There's the license plates are all bullshit. The whole license and insurance not required. Out on mainstream air. Importantly, mainstream through the police radios. And of course, thank you, Jim Macris of the Ministry of the Attorney General, the MAG, for kindly putting that onto a nice recording that I have in my computer that's actually stored in a few different places. So, sorry, no taking that back. Besides, you know, whether it's recorded in the physical doesn't matter. There's the illusion that these wankers live under, thinking that just because they say it behind a closed door that somehow the universe doesn't hear it. That's just dumb. There are no secrets in the all one mind. Silly. It's all good. Are you here to play or be played? And that's what we're getting to right now. So, yeah, the jig is up. And like I said, this is yet another ripple of the same thing. And just watch. Just watch what comes down the pipe. This gig is up. There's a few posts, if I could get to them, on my Facebook. It's not refreshing very well here, so I'll check it again. But a few posts from Adamantium. There's another individual that walks the yellow brick road. Whoa! Like, I've watched some people walk the road. This guy walks it like he sees exactly what's going on, and he puts the exact allegory into it. And it's a treat to read his stuff, because I'm going, oh, yeah, I don't have to think about that because you already nailed it. Good, thank you, and carry on. Right? So it's instantaneous resonance. And what happens when you get a good idea and someone agrees with it on the same frequency and resonance? It appears. So that's what I've been looking for. Others that I can resonate with and go, yep, I got it. I see the picture. You see mine? Yep, we're good. Okay, now it's not just a good idea. It's what's called a postulate. It's a made truth. And that's the shit that goes rippling out like boulders getting tossed in a mud puddle. Just like that. That's the power you all wield. You know, the slaves are awakening. They are. They're, like I said, even when I sit down to write, this is one of the reasons why I love to, do rituals. Write, R-I-T, is because the things that I'm putting out in these rudimentary hieroglyph letters called Western alphabet, or whatever the hell you want to call it, is everything I'm putting out is going out with pure intent, knowing full well. Like, anytime I write a word that has a G in it or whatever, I'm nullifying the shit as it's going. And it's just, it's written in the neutral of no hex in terms of anything allowed to enter in that, and only the pure intent of the message is getting carried through. So I'm literally whitewashing everything as I'm typing each word. So every word that's coming out is whitewashed before it hits the digital screen. And then, of course, I read these things out. And what is a reed? Well, it's something you put in a musical instrument to make a woodwind or a vibration. So when I read these rituals or rites out, on the air, the H-E-I-R, that's ears that are there to be the heirs of this universe. They're going out pure, and that is the pure intent. There was that little headline, what the hell is wrong with these captains regarding oil spills into Texas Galveston Bay, and I just wrote, well, it's called distraction. Looks like it's working. Stop posting this shit on my page, right? And then, of course, right after that, someone writes eugenics for Gaia. Oh, there's a positive, happy thing. So let's flip that around. I'd have to bust that apart. We'll take the hex out of it. Let's do... Yeah, I can go Eugene Nix for Gaia. Yeah, okay. See, this is the mindless shit I hate having to look at. I just hate it. Oh, great. More work. Thank you, guys. That's what I need. Lots more work. Could you please keep it coming? Thanks. Anyway, getting back to Adam here. I am a Phoenician, or more accurately, a Venusian or a Venetian. The F sound I'm going to be softening up in a lot of things, where if I want it soft, I'm going to put the correct sound. The F and the V, you look at the positioning of your tongue and teeth. When you say each of them, you'll notice that the F is a hard version of a V, right? So there's the Va, do, re, mi, va. So soften the heart. And Va means to go. Isn't that interesting, that intent? So there's your Va there, and modus operandi there, mother and father, right? So what was it? It was the headline, "The most serene city of Venice seeks independence from Rome." And of course, I see that and I go, oh, cool. The umbilical cord for the place that processes all the dead babies has been cut free from Mama Rome, right? Again, they call it the Mother Church, and they put feminine on it, but Mother is actually masculine because it's the modus operandi, it's the intent. The feminine is the Father. That's why everything is reversed here. Fa is the heart note. That's the source and the void, the empty void of creation in each and every one of us. So isn't it interesting now, this whole time we said Mom and Dad, and we had it backwards. Isn't that funny? Yeah. And the more you do this and you start looking at the mirrors, and I talked about this a while back, where the most separate you can be from the all is to embody your energy in its mirror opposite. And I got to tell you, it's a beautiful thing that not yet have I encountered from anyone in all stripes, and I've talked to other people about this over the last few weeks. Has any one of them had any sort of a negative reaction to that at all? I'll tell you what I do see in their eyes: peace. I see calmness. Thank you.
It's a relief. Yeah.
It is,
It is, yeah.
And we were told growing up that to flip the script, meaning that what we thought was one way that was the other way. So I put that with the colors. Like they always said, pink was for girls and blue was for guys. And when you flip the script, the blue is for the girls and the pink is for the guys. And sure enough, about 3 years ago, somebody took a picture of the young prince, the redhead was, and he had on some pink underwear. And that, to me, was my rendition of saying that I could see, okay, that really could be a factor, that, pink for guys and blue for girls, because blue was supposed to be a calming entity, and that pink was a derivative of red, which is fire, which is masculine, and they went on in connecting the electricity. Everything on the masculine side was electricity, the red, the fire, and everything on the feminine side was the water and the calmness and the peace that comes with blue. That's the difference.
Well, have a look at the sound within pink, right? There's Pen-Ka, which is the mind of spirit. That is a masculine thing. It's an energy, right?
Yeah.
My favorite color's always been lilac.
There you go. Powder blues, baby.
Ah.
Hey, we've been dressing each other properly, sort of.
Well, let us say happy belated birthday to Santos Bonacci, since yesterday was his day. This is the period I was introduced to Santos and a guy named Johnny Guzman and Kate always were together at that particular time, his time last year. And that's when I heard a program called Regaining Dominion, and he went through and just told us how powerful we are and all the elements that we are. Yeah, and he talked about your good friend. I hear you talking about a guy named Dean Clifford, and he said if we really wanted to know a certain type of information to tick on to him. But that was a very thorough establishment. So happy birthday, Santos Bonacci, down there in Australia.
Absolutely, yeah. I sent my greetings to him the other day. So yeah, great. I would love to have him hanging back out when he's ready. When he's ready, he'll be here. And I know he wanted to take a little bit of a break. So, but let me see. Oh, looks there's Richie coming in. I got Mike. You're in the call as well, buddy. Just letting everyone know that they're in. As soon as I see you on the board, I'll bring you in. So go ahead, Mike.
Kate, sorry. Beautiful day here. Oh, I was a little late coming to the table, Kate. Today I was next to the ocean having lunch with 5 lovely ladies and sharing the truth and love. It is awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah, they're getting it. Now, Mr. Jump in there. You're too polite, man. You've got to jump, my friend. Jump and jump loud.
No. It's because I know there's such an overlap with the thing. So, all I was going to say was I heard Christopher on the show, on the earlier show, and just wondered what was happening with that lady called Maggie.
Oh, yeah, please an update. I haven't heard anything. Nobody seems to contact me regarding that stuff.
Yep. What's up? It was a question that I'm asking. Does anybody know what's happened with her?
No, I haven't heard. I haven't heard anything. Yeah, again, well, that situation went south as soon as she uttered a name. I keep telling people that. It's not about the ID. It's about you still having a spiritual contract trying to claim that. And I hear so many, or not lately, I just don't listen to them anymore, but I do see the odd posting here and there of people that are still playing in the mindless legal game, claiming their name and you name it. Like, what is a trust? Well, a trust is something you support things with, right? So if you've been involved in a trust, you've been bridged to something else. That's what a trust does. It bridges 2 areas for support.
Mike, are you there?
Yeah, man.
I was looking at an article today. It was about, I think it was someone called Maui from Hawaii. Can you go into that a little bit about the backstory to that, how it works?
What was this story again?
Maui, about the creation myth for Hawaii.
One of the stories with Maui, and I'm going to read one for Kate. One of the stories is Maui actually fished up the island. It's a story of him catching the sun and to extend the day. There's just beautiful allegories again. And when you go back, kind of like the Greek myth, if you go back, maybe not quite, these beings they're not talked about as a myth. They're talked about these were living beings. There was this you see how that magical wasn't, it was real to people. And again, it's that merging of that, not the separation of the spiritual aspects of our lives where it is really connected, and we hear it in these stories. I'm going to look for this one story, and I'll tell you, it's the creation aspect of Hawaii. And it's kind of like what Kate and a few of the people were sharing, that it comes out of the primordial darkness. That's the Hawaiian creation story, that we came out of the primordial darkness.
And I didn't mean to insult you by saying creation myth. I just couldn't think of any other way, any other term to put it.
Well, you can't offend anybody at this table. And just a quick note there, Barb, I just had to mute your mic for a sec because there's a bit of background noise where you are. And again, guys, just be mindful of anything in the background. If you've got really good mics or a good phone or whatever, it's picking it up, and it's a lot louder on the air than you think it is.
So for me, I would tell you to look at a few books or go to a few websites that really have these stories there instead of hearing it from me off the top of my head. But I've read them and they're quite wonderful. And I'm going to look up one. If you ever read a book, it's called The Bowl of Light. I mentioned it before. It's about Hale Makua, this beautiful Hawaiian being, and the wisdom that he shared and lived. And it goes into all of this, and it really, again, the beginning of the book, again, reminds us that we are gods playing the game, forgetting that we were gods. And that tells you it in a nutshell. So when the story of how Maui was on top of Haleakala and grabbed the sun, and that's how we have a longer day now. Also how he was fishing and he pulled up the other islands. You can go in and hear really more beautiful described than what I'm sharing here. And what I'm getting at is when you read some of these, I don't even want to call them myths, or legends, so to say, these stories, for a lot of me, they're really real. They're not super fantastic. I look at the supernatural as very real to me.
Hey, Mike, here's a little secret for everybody. There is nothing fake. Nothing.
Yeah.
You see, all creation is all creation. And these myths, I mean, some of the most far-fetched, if you want to talk far-fetched, are the Irish folklores. And no, these are true stories. This is the joke that, and of course, all of these, especially around Hawaii or the Irish legends and stuff, these things get pushed aside because of how accurate, because they're fact. And take the helm for a second here. I just got to go throw the kettle on real quick, Mike, but carry on with this story. Remember, guys, myth is my theos, my God, my creation. That's what mythology, or the mythologos, that's the creation. So these are real, true creation stories. So pay heed.
Bill Donahue would agree. Myth definitely happened. It is just coded, and we have to decode it to understand it. To understand it. I had written that down. So there you go, another confirmation from a different point of consciousness.
Another point of view. So go ahead, Mike. Share some real truth with the good listeners and the good table sitters like the rest of us here. Did I lose Mike?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, there you are.
I was just trying to load up something. I didn't have anything marked. Okay, let me close that.
That was good.
More of that.
Oh, man, I have this crazy music I want to play. One day, it's like, they supposedly made it for some cartoon. I don't know what it was. I haven't heard it since. And this is over 10 years old. It's just this, you'd put it to like some wacky Three Stooges cartoon mixed with whoever you thought was funny, and it's just this sounds of cacophony of brilliance. And that's when I hear things like that, where it's like sometimes we got all these so-called disjointed people coming together, and then all of a sudden we just tune in, and that's it, man. Everyone has their own instrument, so to say, and we're all playing, and we're tuning it in, and we're just coming closer and closer, and we're feeling it, we're hearing it, we're seeing it, and yeah. So, Barbara, you ready to start dancing some more?
Yeah, Barb, come on, Mother Goose.
And so, yeah, please tune in tomorrow morning, 4 a.m. Hawaii Dream Time, 7 a.m. on the Cali Dream Time.
Yeah, I will.
We're going to have some fun and tune in. Wow, I'm just, like Kate's like, share something, Michael. You know what? I want to share my gratitude, my heartfelt thanks to all of you guys that we are now coming to this table and sharing again, and we're remembering to share elsewhere also more and more. It's given us that kind of confidence, that trust in self to share the love and not be afraid. Not be afraid of this cloud that's been hanging around the truth, kind of scaring us away from it. It's like it's not the truth that's scary, it's just that cloud of fear that was kind of hanging around. Blow it away and take a deep breath of the truth and shine on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plant those seeds, yeah.
That's
I
definitely
feel that
one of the...
so much. Go ahead, Mr. Pattie.
I was just going to say that's definitely one of the things that the system uses to try and keep people locked in place, like worrying about what other people will think of you, peer pressure and fear of ridicule and stuff like that. And once you're immune to that, then, you know what I mean, you're unlimited. It's just one of the artificial limitations that you take on from like being in a classroom where you've got people around you and you're concerned about what they'll think about you, or if you put your hand up and make a mistake on an answer or whatever, you know what I mean? Everybody makes mistakes. Yeah. That's what the rubber on the end of a pencil's for. It's just learning from them and moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. That was a big one for me. I'm glad I'm pretty much through that. So yeah, you're absolutely on right there.
Yeah, so there's quite a few people at the table. Anybody chime in? Please do.
Yep.
So if anybody else has what was I going to share? Like Kate's reminding us many times, and this is one of the reasons that it's coming clear, is somebody shared it earlier. I was just reading it. It's you see the truth and the lies clearer and clearer, and you see the black and the white. You see the right and the wrong. And I'm not talking in terms of a judgment issue. I'm talking in terms of that causes harm, that doesn't cause harm. That's for the greater good, that's for your ego. And we're just seeing that clearer without a judgment issue to choose something that is more harmonious with you, with your true heart, soul, essence. And this is coming clear. Now, when I do tune in, and I want to keep this part brief, when I do tune into, let's call it the lamestream media and some other aspects of the New Age bullshit, I will have a tendency to look at the world and go, oh no, what the fuck? It's like you're saying, it comes with it's like we've been programmed that those thoughts are going to come right with it. Like these self-defeating, limiting thoughts and fears. And so when you tend to look at the world at a problematic situation, you're generally not going to see the solution. When you remember that before any of these problems existed, there was a solution already, then we can look at these things again with a clearer heart and, recognize the beauty, dispel the futility, and put a smile on our faces again and keep on keeping on. And even if you have little hiccups in the day, don't beat yourself up over it. It's what Mystify was just sharing with us. Man, that's kind of been programmed into us. I know it very well from myself, from just being kind of shy in some instances and sometimes just afraid to make a mistake. And I say it to others, and I need to remind myself more than others, mistakes are part of learning. They are good. It's not like I made a mistake and I harmed someone. No, that's like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. But generally the mistakes we're talking about is the ones where we just beat ourselves up a little. Oh, I can't do that, or oh, I didn't do that right, and so we stop. The mistake is we stop. If there's any mistake, it's that we stop. And And even that might not be a mistake, because maybe we did need to stop in that moment just to be still, just to do nothing. And like this it's when we more and more tune into the 0 point, the more we're getting, in a way, neutral with the synthetic bombardment. We see the balance. We recognize the balance outside, inside, and in ourselves, not to fluctuate wildly between these polarities. We're now bridge walking. We're bridge walkers. We are oscillating very rapidly, so to say, between the third and the fourth dimension, where this is really tuning in. It's moving so fast, it's almost coming to a point of stillness and clarity, because we are aligning this ourselves into no longer operating from different systems where they become inlined and tuned. So where our emotions aren't overriding ourselves, or our mental activity isn't, and we're not just off in fantasy land dreaming of, I don't know, polka dotted hippos flying through the air, and what's so I'm cool with that. And I love it, and I love that we can come to the table and really express that, because it's not always easy. And I recognize that when I come to the table, that it's all of you are assisting me, and to be able to express my heart, soul, essence in this way. So, what? Got about an hour left in the show today. Something I was reminding about 0 point equinox again, and this tilt, this wobble, this planet we perceive in our position in the solar system, which is the body of outer layer of the sun, if you want to call it, if you want to put an outer or an inner. It's like, the sun's over there, and I'm like, yeah, and what? We're just feeling its effect? It's like, again, we're putting things outside of ourselves, even the things that are outside of ourselves. And even on a scientific way, we can look at the sun, and we can look at its what do you call it? Well, how much its light reaches. Well, we're in its light, so to say, or in its greater field. The solar system is, in a way, part of the sun's imagining, all of ours, actually. And so we are not outside of it. It is not outside of us. It's one and the same. And when we tune into this perspective, we tend to dispel the authority games we are playing. Because in this way, on a spiritual level, we're not putting something above us to rule us. And then here on a so-called physical level where we experience this, we're not putting someone else going, here, you can rule me, you can tell me what to do, please, I'm worthless. No, we're not buying that program anymore. We're infinite beings of infinite worth and value beyond any limiting currency system. And
exactly. I am back, by the way. I just wanted to mention something with regards to something that Mystified had shared earlier today. Frank Chester. I had a chance to watch a few segments of the presentation, and there's a guy that can see the unseen. Mystified, just get your take on it, because as soon as you started talking about, Michael, when you were talking about the sun and all the rest of it, those are our effects. Right, they're not in the physical sense they appear to have cause over us, but in the spiritual sense we have full cause over them, and it's reversing that mirror to get that. And when you watch Frank Chester's work, you really get the notion of what the four corners of the earth really are, and of course the cube being the four mirrors, actually 8 mirrors, 8 corners that are reflecting light back in upon itself, creating this pyrotechnic effect called physical reality. And I was curious about your take on it, Mystified, because you were the one that sent the link. You're finding these neat little gems lately, so there's always a little bit of tail wagging going on when I go check your posts on Skype, so thank you.
Yeah, it's strange. Different things keep coming to me, and like random things, and it's like, yeah, that looks important, and then I look at it a little bit more, scratch the surface, and I'm like, yeah, I know who needs that, and it just.
Well, again,
it's strange.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Very literal, but I could see where he was going on the anagogic. So, see, this is the joy of this. I got to tell you, when these absolutely brilliant minds get the full notion of this being Oz. Out. This toast. Game done. It's from the 23rd of March, 2013. There's a 12-part lecture series, and I watched a few of them. And when you see the shapes within shapes within shapes, and the fact that he was able to show the complete toroidal field contained within the heart in a physical sense, and as I was watching this guy do his presentation, the things that he had put together, here's a guy that is mentally so far outside the box that he's seeing the things and he's creating them, and he's correlating. This is the big thing about him, was he was correlating the effects of Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis in how the cone effect and what the Earth and the core and everything is all about. And I put him right alongside Dave LaPointe in the Primer Fields in the visual department of explaining. You see, where Dave LaPointe went out of his way to show the gravitational magnetic forces, the spiritual aspects of the magnetic, in the mirror of him is this Frank Chester fellow who's showing all of the physical attributes of the geometric forms that get made as a result of that. So when you put both these guys, this is why I cherry pick from the best guys, because and all things for a reason. So I will look at everything and see, okay, where is this piece of the puzzle fitting in? And that's where I saw these two things fitting together. One was dealing primarily in energy, the other was dealing primarily in physical form with an energetic perspective. This is what separated, when I was watching this Frank Chester fellow, quite brilliant, what separated him from the herd. I'm talking like not even a close second place for anyone to him and the likes of Dave LaPointe. It's quite astonishing, and it's a beautiful visual. So again, you can have a look at it, and you'll see for yourself where he's putting the orb, the circle inside the box, and all the different shapes, and he's even got a couple of his own shapes that he has created from the inside. And I got to tell you, the shape that he got from inside the 7, I believe it was, it was 13-sided form that he had created, was this beautiful streamlined heart. And he had made it out of brass. He had made it out of metal, and it was stunning. And the design that he had put together using this, I can't even call it theory, but the actual construction of the geometrics, let's just say he fills in all the gaps of the platonic solids. Platonic solids are only half the story, and that's the only story you're going to hear from most people. What Frank Chester does is he takes it to the other side. He shows the mirror of the platonics and why they work. The platonics are actually the subservient to what he's talking about. The platonics are the effect, and what he has presented so beautifully in form are the energetics and the cause. And of course, then we take that back to Dave LaPointe and the energy field's 0 point magnetic center of how this is all created. Now, have a look at a cube, and you have contained within that a double cross. If you connect, opposing diagonal corners, you've got your double cross in there, and it always ends up at the center of the heart, the center of the universe. And that's what you are. You are the center of the universe. Every one of you are the center of the universe. This is why, here we have so many here all buying into the same illusion, but not any longer. And this is the point that we had to reach. And we're still, you see, guys, here it is. Every day that goes by, we move closer and closer. It is that ripple, the early waves coming in, greasing the shore for the big one. This big wave is heading to shore right now, and the system knows it. And I go right back to that one little line that my buddy had shared. Hey, how's it going? Out of jail today, LOL. They only held me for 30 minutes. Wouldn't give them the name or jurisdiction. And he stirred up quite the pot, So that's all I need. I don't need a whole lot of proof about anything. Ego needs that. Oh, that was Mark. Thank you. All right. Okay. So yeah. And yes, Mark. Thank you for sharing that. It was Mark. I thought it was Mystified shared that. Doesn't matter. It comes to me anyway. So it's beautiful. So this is the joy of doing this together. And I got to tell you, the pressure that gets lifted off my shoulders, thinking that I have to be the one doing all this, that, and the other, and it's all you guys are all chipping in, and we're all chipping in with each other's stuff now. And here we are collectively, co-creatively building the reality by dispelling the old and showing it for the bullshit that it is. So very well done, Class dismissed. Summer holidays coming up.
Woohoo! I'm ready.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Sorry, just reading a couple of posts there. I'll get. Actually, here we got Mark. We got Joe Tara. I'm gonna open your lineup again, there, Barb. As it was nicely said.
Thank you.
Yeah, no eating potato chips. No.
Scout Sounder. Oh, Scout Sounder.
All good, baby.
But you know what? I went to the line. I went online looking for Mike's radio program, and I ended up. They told me that what Paul Giovanni's show came up online when I looked. I never did find a time or anything for Mike. So may I ask Mike's time and telephone number where I could call him?
Yeah, I'll put it out there, Barbara. Sometimes you just gotta scroll down further on the page on Blog Talk, and it will list the different shows.
Ah.
Yeah, I saw the same thing.
Okay.
Well, that's good. We get to call. So it's 4 a.m. with your East Coast, Barbara. 6 hours, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
All right. All right. And what number can I call?
Let me look for it, and I will share it. So you guys continue talking.
You.
I'll look for it.
That'll be the 347 number, which I haven't memorized. I know this one, but yeah, it's 347. I do the critical mass table once a week. So Mike's on there 3 days a week now. So yeah, You better get used to that number. So there you go.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
11.
Hi.
Very good.
Hello.
Very good. I like. I looked at Frank Chester a while back with the kids, and he's created a Chesterhedron shape.
Yeah, Chester.
And in that
Chesterton.
creation, I think he was calling it Chesterhedron or something. Yeah. And I looked at it, and for me at that point, I thought, here's the new shape for the new sound for the new consciousness. It has to always. We know that everything has a sound, a shape, a color that represents something that's within this dimension. So I thought, here's this new dimensional energy that he's recognized and seen. Here we are with the new sound, the phonetics, the awakening of this consciousness, and that shape represents that spiritual, physical connection.
Well, he's literally building the shapes in his mind inside of other shapes. He's seeing the shapes inside the shapes, which, what a gift. I mean, it's like the lady got up during one point saying, you got to see this guy at work. I'd love to. I'd be just sitting there with popcorn watching this guy work, because, yeah,
okay.
Totally.
Joe, Michael.
Mark, how are you?
How are you doing, Kate?
Good. I think, yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, anybody out there, just check him out. Look up Frank Chester on YouTube, one of 11 short videos. Very interesting guy.
Interesting is probably an understatement, you know?
Yeah, he's going out and he's proving it.
Well, yeah, like, I got to tell you, the most profound shape that I saw was the one that he got out of the chestahedron, or because I know he's got the decatria, which is that's a 13-sided one, and I'm not sure it was a chestahedron or chestiform that was a 7-sided one, but the 7-sided one is identical to the left side of the heart. And there's the left side, which is the intellectual creation side of the heart, where the right would be the creational void. And he did a beautiful job explaining a singularity. And while I was talking, I could see the ebb and flow of the universe. Like when something contracts, it creates more space outside around it, right? So that's a singularity. And when something expands, it's creating more space inside it, and it's contracting space around it. So it's contracting and expanding at exactly the same time. It just depends on if you're polarized into looking at it from a dualized perspective. But in as much as you're, like when you fill your lungs are expanding, and the space outside of you is contracting. And as soon as you breathe out, your lungs contract, and there's more space created outside of you. So he does a very masterful job, same way that Dave LaPointe did with the magnetics and the domes, and showing how the magnetic energies work, the primal source of creation. So that's for me, that's why Frank Chester was that other side of the puzzle that connected the physical form to the magnetic spiritual energy. And they fit together like peas in a pod.
They're coming thick and fast, Kate.
Oh yeah, I mean
he said, what did he say? 13 years?
Yep, 13 years. Just a
funny that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Dee had sent me a picture or a link to check out, and there was an inflatable dinghy, and on the side of the numbers totaled B, and it was I think 4 or 5 digits. Anyway, total 13. So B13 on the side of a dinghy, right? It shows up everywhere, and I mean that was like on my travels yesterday. I stopped looking because I start laughing too much. It's like, yeah, I get it. That's okay. It's okay. I don't need to. Yeah, I'll go back to listening to Bill Donahue or Mike Tesserin or whatever. But it's quite funny.
Yes, I watched Inder's game last night, and the weapon that they shot was my initials.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah, it's just a coincidence, though, right?
And I say 13 every time I say my name. 13 is I always saying with Barbara every time. And I saw that, and I separated the B, because people had showed me McDonald's, that M on the McDonald's. My name is Barbara Moore, so I got the BM. Well, I've always connected it with mile movement, so I never did really see them together. But come to find out that was a popular thing to do. Everybody has a BM.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the schools I serviced. That was the bank that pulled its little stunts on me, BMO. You know, that's the Antichrist modus operandi, right? Oh, yeah, it's all there. So this is why, for me, you know, my silly spiritual trick is decoding intent within sound. That's my silly human trick. We all got one. And I love watching other people's silly human tricks, like Dave LaPointe, you guys, and Frank Chester, and Bill, and Santo, and everybody. You all got beautiful silly human tricks. I just love collecting and putting them all together and go, oh, isn't that cool? Look how amazing you are. And we got Richie back in the call. He dropped off there for a sec. So welcome back, Richie. Good to have you back.
Richie, lover boy. Richie, hey, good to hear your voice. Lover boy. Mr. Main Man.
There's a little setup for you.
Well, all right. That's cool. Introduction. Yay.
I'm sure Carl Lentz is your brother, you know, Richie.
Huh?
I'm sure Carl Lentz is your brother.
Oh, who?
Carl Lentz.
Carl Lentz.
He sounds
Carl
exactly
Lentz.
like him.
See, I don't know many people. I know me, so it's good. I'm getting to know you guys. I'm getting to know me.
You know Rocky, don't you? Do you know Rocky? Do you know Sylvester Stallone? Your cousin?
Oh my God, yeah, Rocky. Yeah. Well, he's what the hell he do? I think he just became a born again Christian. He's lost. Well, he failed. He'll be rebooted.
Who did that?
Rebooting. Stallone. I saw something real quick.
Oh my Lord, Thunder and Jesus. Well, at least he started looking, huh?
Yeah, Pat. Who was that? Who's that guy there on the religious channel there? Pat something.
Pat Robertson.
Yeah, there we go, huh? Wow.
Actually, Pat.
He probably just did that so he could make a pass on Jane Fonda. You know, she did that shit too late in life. Found God after 50 years. All that man she had down there. He said, well, baby, you're going to have to go back to California with that stuff because we ain't having it down south here. I want you to find my bedroom every night. No, but she said, that was... So she's not a man over that stuff.
Hey, listen, if you're out and about on the internet and you have access to, say, Sylvester Stallone's Facebook or Twitter or whatever, pass along the Bill Donahue link and maybe pass that along to Pat the Grave Robertson and let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
Give the guy credit. At least he's finally starting to look.
It would be wonderful if they did that and had that open mind and clear heart, or clear mind and open heart to listen to Bill, and really the thing they've been studying or wanting to study, for their lives would maybe finally make sense, and they could, all that good that they were pretending to do for the world, maybe they can finally get on doing it.
Yeah, that Roseanne Barr would be pretty open-minded when she was on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think a lot, because like the path people are walking, they may not have been introduced or come into any types of conversations with ones like us that have, decided to seek rather than just receive bullshit or, just receive what everyone else has done. The questioning is what did it. I wasn't satisfied with any of the shit I heard. I didn't believe any of the bullshit. It's like, and that's what that essence, that part of our DNA, that part that was locked into our RAM drive, is what we carry with us and never will lose it. That's why, like I say, that wicking the walls of this impenetrable fortress. So no matter where I go in this universe, I'm not going to be fooled, tricked, duped, hoaxed, and anything else in that manner, regardless of the forces that we come in contact with. Absolutely not. And what's intriguing is Christ too. There was a thing I heard. He disappeared when he was 13, right? I think that's. You ever hear that story that they wrote about?
Yeah.
The writings.
Well, he was in.
I'll show you a great book. It's by Christopher Moore. It's called Biff, the story of Jesus. Biff, the story of Jesus' best friend. And so it goes through the time where Jesus was 13 to 33, where he was disappeared. If anyone wants to read.
Yeah.
Now, remember, I didn't say this with some religious scholar.
I know another one. I gave him enough years of my life. I don't need to know no more about him than what I already know. Thank you very much.
What was that, Mike? Yeah.
You had me at Biff.
Yeah. See, they're the magic numbers, 13 and 33. There's the 33, and I'm not even going to get into this because, like I've said, I've just been downloading shit, and I got to reboot that battery because yesterday, like the last couple of days, I just been, You know, the energy they're putting into this is like you know how it is, Kate, right? And anyone else that
Yep.
you know when you're putting that energy into create, you know, getting this stuff together, it's you got to take that time, quiet, meditate, and do whatever you got to do. But rebooting that, and I'm finally starting to, you know, recharge that battery. Oh, hey, Mike, what was the name of that?
The guy's name is Christopher Moore. If anybody's ever read Tom Robbins, and I think somebody told me he became a born-again Christian, and he's one of the most brilliant writers of our time. This guy's name is Christopher Lamb. He's written many different books. He wrote one called Fluke about whales here in Hawaii, and this guy gets swallowed from them, but they're living inside the whale, and there's these whale beings, and awesome, guys. It's like you'll read this and you think it's fantasy, but it resonates so real that you're looking at the ocean like I'm looking at the humpback whales preaching, going, "Yeah, you guys in that one." So the story about Jesus and Biff is fantastic, mate. They end up in India, Japan. They go all over the place, and this is how he acquires his, you know, powers and stuff. And this best friend of his it's just hilarious. He goes through all the same shit Jesus goes through, and it's a great book. Sure.
Yeah.
So where are we going at before that? Wow.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what, too, Kate, because I was listening in earlier and getting back to the name game is everything. Think about how many times we've written our name down on a piece of paper in school. You write your name, you sign your name. So, you know, to up to the point, you know, at this point, I mean, how many times have we that name's been ingrained? You know, that's as if that's who we are. You know. And Kate, you're right. That is the
name game.
Yeah, the name game.
It's as simple as just saying, "I get it. I don't need it. Thanks,
Rich,
appreciate it."
Right.
Mo bitch, mo battle, mo bitch, me, my, fo bitch. Rich, that's the name game. Rich, mo bitch, mo battle, mo fish, fo fish. Rich. That name game.
The name game. Yeah. And you know what I'm going to do, Kate? I'm going to write an essay like you do. I'm going to put something in words to formulate, to illustrate. Because like earlier today, you know how you have those? I have those moments of complete clarity, and but to put it in words, because it is important getting this through. And really what I'm doing, you know, with this whole thing, because it seems relatively insignificant, but it's dawning on me that it's very, very, very significant. And what I'm doing as well is I'm doing it for everyone. I'm doing it for the highest point of consciousness that trumps, you know, all the others. You know, that point of consciousness. That's been
our causal
lurking.
nature. We're tuning into that, seeing how we've been we're remembering how to operate in it. It's kind of like we've been fumbling at the controls, and things have been, you know, in a way, in a random sense, like, oh, how did that happen? And now we're getting a sense of the controls again, and we're knowing just why it's happening, and how we can do more of the things we are really dreaming about and our true imaginations. The title of the book is, you'll like this even better, I believe, Lamb, The Gospel According to Biff, Christ's childhood pal.
Oh, my God. That one is hilarious. Have you finished it?
Oh, yeah, I read it a while back. It's just...
Yeah. Oh, what a... the belly laughing, I'm telling you.
I mean,
really?
It's got
please
so much
tell us, please tell us. Don't make us sit down and read it. Please tell us what you know. Please tell us about it.
I mean,
don't make us sit down and read it. Please tell us. Please tell us.
Okay, so was it Biff or the brothers that used to beg him to kill and the lizards and bring them back to life. Anyway, he just makes it really, really funny. And
I heard about that book. I used to tell children the story about Jesus was outside playing with 3 or 4 of his friends, and he took 2 of them up in the tree, and he pushed one of them down out of the tree, and the other 2 were standing on the ground looking, and then Jesus came down out of the tree with his other friend, and the 2 that was on the ground said, "Jesus, you just pushed Ralph out of the tree." And then he said, Jesus walked over to Ralph and said, "Rise, Ralph, rise." And that was the beginning of his power.
So this story was cut out of the Bible, of course, the Gospel of Biff, and and Biff, in this story, and it is funny because it tells when he was even younger than 13, and Biff, Jesus' childhood pal, his best friend, had a crush on his mom, and he said if anything ever happens to Joshua's, to Joseph, Biff plans to step in and hook up with Mary.
Get some of that milk action.
And he's always had a crush on Mary Magdalene. And Jesus, Jesus ain't having sex with anybody in this story. And so Biff's just like, come on. And then one night, Mary thinking Jesus was coming into the tent and it was Biff. And
sure it wasn't a donkey.
Sounds like a Rocky Horror movie.
It is hilarious. Then they end up
Tim Carrey.
They're doing all these crazy austerities, and they're at the where is it, over in Puri, the this one festival. I think they even related it. It's the Jagannath. I'm saying the name wrong. Anyways, and this one god, and it's just so vivid and real. I highly recommend any of his stories, man. He's got them taking place all over the world in different aspects. Check him out. You'll have a laugh. You'll have a laugh. You'll gain a lot of knowledge. He's like a lot of information from different sources, tying it all together.
What was the name of the village you just said there?
Christopher Moore, right?
Christopher Moore.
No, the name of the village, Panui, did you say?
Oh, it's Puri. Puri.
Right.
The village, it's in East India. I never made it over there, not this time around at least. I planned on going to this festival, but you don't miss anything really.
No, I just thought it was a coincidence. I was reading this article today, Egyptian grape gods ancient contract decoded. I put a link to it in the chat rooms, and apparently the village that he was working in where he wrote this contract was called Panui.
Panui.
Yeah.
I was talking about Puri. It's the Jagannath temple. I don't know if anybody's ever been there. They roll them out every year. People get crushed, I think, every year still. I always found that kind of weird. So, again, it's something that's bringing the humor to life, and that's what I love about it. If there was a guy named Jesus that walked the planet, I bet he had a hell of a sense of humor.
Well, you know what?
I hope it's what some of the shit he went through.
I went through the phase where I really didn't. I guess you just kind of say, well, yeah, I guess so. But then, as you question and dig deep, and you start hearing other points of consciousness and how they work things, and then I went through the phase. No, he didn't. It was a story, But the thing is the way I'm starting to see time. It's not as it's recorded. That's not the way it goes. It's not. So, but basically, I'm a story. You're a story. That part of us.
I agree.
We're bringing to the table this magnetic electric energy.
Calendar's
is
been
being
fucked
restored.
with all the time.
So for me, this is where we, with this knowledge, with this information that we've received from each other, again, it's, and this is what Kate reminds us, to bring it to the allegorical, bring it to the anagogic, because this is where the causal nature is. This is where we actually see that we'll make a change. And for me, the power of the imagination is where we connect to this, let's call it, level of cause, and we got to remember that. Otherwise, we're just describing what has been. We're describing our path to now, and what we need to remember to do is now describe the what you want, what you'd like to see, what you feel.
All right, that's right. Since we all individuals and we all have our own wants and we all have our own desires, so we all have to have our own path. Yet we could we could be on the same path, but it'll still be our own. We're all heading upward. Then I could walk behind you going upward, and someone could walk behind me going upward. We're on the same path, but we're doing it individually because we have different desires that want.
Right. And so inside
it's a choice. We have a choice. Yeah.
Inside this difference, where before we're a bunch of individual sticks, now we're a bunch of individual sticks. In a way, held together with love, and it's strong. And now those individual dreams can be
and enjoyable too,
synced in. Yeah.
Sounds like you're describing a raft there, bound together with love, floating down the river.
Yeah,
but we're family, so we accept you as we're family. We are family. We accept each and every one, however you are. If you choose not to be the one who want to smile on the face and want to frown, fine. We can't kick out our family member. We're all family, but we choose for you to want to be joyful and happy in this love. But we'll accept you as is.
All one together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said, Bob.
Have to. You know,
so
I
at the end of this movie, The Ender's Game, I don't know if anyone's seen it, and if they saw the being that he, the queen, I guess, and shows him the. I just really liked how it showed that. It showed a full story to me in terms of the evolution of, in a way, consciousness through Ender, that he didn't see the so-called enemy as an enemy. He said, I got to see them first before I can know what to do. And the line from it, I'm not quite quoting it, was, when you know...
A.E. Wiggins.
Yeah, so when you know your last name, Richie. When you know your enemy, I'm going to look it up in a moment. And this is so true because I've experienced it. When you know
I remember it, Mike.
You will learn to love them.
Yeah, you're going to love them.
You're going to learn to love them.
When you know your enemy well enough to defeat him, in that moment, you love him also. Yeah.
You will love him. And that's exactly where we're at right now. And again, the whole thing was set up with a bunch of children, which represent humanity, and all of the adults that were running this program to train the drone kids, the super video gamers, into slaughtering themselves, basically, because the supposed enemy was themselves. And that's where Ender at the end decided that all the propaganda had been sold. It was masterfully done, and he decided at the end that he was going to rescue the last remaining queen, and he did. And that's the moment where people finally decide that I'm not of this game. I don't play of the whore any longer. I'm not buying her lies. I'm striking out, and I am going to save my own queen. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, all the assumption and presumption that was made by those running the game. And it was placed upon the children. That's what's happened to us. You know, all the enemies that get created for us in the in this game here are all manufactured. They're all displayed on horror stations like CNN or NBC, or doesn't matter, any of the mainstream television stations. A bunch of corporate fucking horrors, as far as I'm concerned, and all the anchors that talk on these radio or TV shows, news. They call it news. I call it spews, but whatever. Got a bunch of talking heads reading off a Rolodex of propaganda, and not one of these idiots bothers to fact check any of the stories. They're too busy in their own little world, making sure their makeup and their outfits are perfect and that they look great, they sound great, and they're just the little bobbleheads you used to get in the back of the car.
Prostitutes.
Prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of bobbleheads, and Go ahead.
There was a clip of this news, right? You won't believe this. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. I think it was on BBC, right? The camera was pointed at the wrong angle, and there was she was meant to be talking to the girl on the left, but it was facing the girl on the right, and she had her skirt hitched up, and she had a giant black strap-on dildo attached to her, and she's just sitting there playing with it.
Nice.
It was amazing. It was enormous, and she looked up and she seen the camera was looking at her, and she was like, hit your skirt down.
Oh, you busted them, White Out. You busted them. Oh, you busted them.
Sounded like alien contact there.
Well, yeah, basically it did, yeah.
Hey, the other thing I was thinking when I saw that,
Russell Brand went on a television program like that, and took over. Russell Brand, he went on that MSNBC, and those three people were sitting there supposedly interviewing him, and he took control of the show. He looked at all three of them and just made them so embarrassed that he made the women blush. They was ready to drop their drawers right there. And Russell asked him, so this is what you people do for a living? You get paid to do this? And sure enough, he dumbfounded them. He had them they talked about it. It's on YouTube. Russell Brand on MSNBC. Go see it. It's remarkable.
There you go. I've just linked it in the chat room.
How bobbleheads, like Kate said, how bobbleheads those people really are. Russell Brand busted them out. Go see. They all look like bobbleheads right then and there.
Now, on the other mirror side of that, I always like to play the devil's advocate. Remember, the system loves to create its heroes within its heroes. I don't buy it ever. So I look at someone.
Thing, Kate.
Yeah, it's a Messiah complex. And in as much as I totally agree with you, Barb, and then I'm going to totally disagree with you along the lines of it's just Luke Skywalker and Leia Skywalker stepping in for their asshole father, Darth Vader, made out to look like the heroes, and everyone's cheering them as they take the helm of the same family line over and over. So that's the same COINTELPRO trick that has been used time and time and time again. So it's like the Glenn Becks and things like that. Yeah, they look like America's heroes. They look like the world's heroes when in fact, if you're part of the mainstream horror system, and I don't care what rank you carry or what role you play in Hollywood or the media or whatever, to me, you can be manipulated. Again, see, here's the thing. Now, Russell Brand, loved him in the movie Arthur, by the way. He was quite funny and played a beautiful role. And that interview, he had a whole lot of fun there. But how aware of what's going on is Russell Brand, or is he just being manipulated? Yes, like every other individual that's trying to make a difference, and they really don't know who they are. You see, this is, for me, the culmination of the game is the instant that one of these individuals comes out and exposes the fraud of frauds, the complete spiritual trap contained within the legal, which is all forensic, the crown, all of the registration. This is the spiritual contract of spiritual contracts that is controlling each and every one of us, and it all involves everything. It involves the commerce, it involves the legal, it involves the governments, it involves the banks, it involves everything across the board, and it all hinges on that one thing, the narmer palate, the name, to enslave the soul.
Yeah.
And that's
right.
it.
And you know what?
When Russell Brand comes out and starts talking about this shit, then he's not a talking head to me. Other than that, everyone out there that's still spewing the same shit are just a bunch of fucking morons and talking heads. Sorry, I just call it. Like I said, I'm not here to make friends, guys. I'm here to make waves.
You're spot on, Kate. You're spot on.
Yeah, that's a distraction.
That analogy
listen
that you did on that Star Wars analogy was right on time, Kate.
Yeah, while Kate's on this, too, I want to follow this up because she's right. That's why I'm going to write an essay and get my thoughts and illustrate this in a way where it reaches the consciousness because, we're playing ball, we're having a game. It is a game, but the thing is hitting that high note, hitting that point where we elevate consciousness, not staying trapped in the lower levels of it. That's the whole point. Like Kate says, right, we can have friends. I'm not here to make friends, you know what I'm saying? I already know we know who our friends are when you hit that point, but the name is it because, like you say, we reboot and come back. How many friggin' names have I had? Right? I've probably named Shirley, Martha, Frank, Zulu, Zeus. Who knows? Right? That's not who the fuck I am. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That highest point of consciousness is what I'm gonna honor. I'm gonna serve. And I'm gonna drive this shit home. But for the last breathing breath that I take on this friggin' rock that's hurling through vast black space, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing with Kate and the others and the people that come to know this because that's the ticket. That's the key that's going to change everything is that fucking name. It's going to change everything.
Here, you want proof? You want proof of the pudding? Here's the proof of the pudding.
Yeah.
How many people have I called out over the years? How many people's faces have I got in calling them nothing but shills and talking heads and what have you, calling out every level? And how many outrages have you seen on mainstream TV about some mouthy tranny on the web calling out people like Oprah Winfrey or whoever? It doesn't really matter to me because if you're not telling the truth, you're just a fucking talking head and you're bought and paid for with all your money. And you were owned lock, stock, and barrel. Your soul is bought and paid for. Enjoy your round trip. Like I said, this is not a miscongeniality of what I'm looking for here. This is a game that's on for your soul. You want your soul back? I'm in that game. You don't want it back? Well, then you just keep going the way you're going. You hang on to all the system whores threads that keep you bound spiritually. And if you're not doing things to help humanity awaken, and this goes out to people like Sasha Stone, who's selling more of this fucking free energy shit along with Empty Kishi and the rest of these idiots that are caught up in the Atlantean mindset. They haven't got a fucking clue as to who they are. You've got the Dalai Lama supporting that website, something 2045, right? It's all about cyborgs and putting the human soul inside machines. What's that?
Healing pods. Let's
okay. So let's hang on a second here. I got some sort of echo going on because I'm on a roll here right now. People
you
like
are
to
on a roll.
Yes, you are.
The supposed highest fucking spiritual being on this planet is selling out to fucking cyborgs? Are you kidding me? What part of spirituality did you miss, wanker? What exactly are you trying to sell? And that's the same thing. I look at, Russell Brand can go out and call out these talking heads, but in the condition of his mind and being is, he doesn't have a clue as to who he is. As far as he's concerned, he's some hot-looking, and he's a looking boy, a hot-looking guy walking around making some waves and creating the Messiah complex. He's been, wine, dined, and groomed and doomed, baby. This guy, and this applies to so many. You've got these people out there that are really busy and really good at talking a great story that fits in with everybody else so they don't look like they're too far outside the box. Me, I'm outside the box with my Indiana Jones whip cracking it. And I got no time for this shit. I don't, because as far as I'm concerned, if you are not awake and helping humanity get out of this trap, this spiritual trap they're in, you are aiding and abetting those that are.
Well, I would put Russell Brand in the avenue of
absolutely.
enlightening because of the pain and the suffering that he had personally experienced his own self. I mean, he's seeing sunshine and bright days and beautiful commentary days these days, but life has not always been a bed of roses for that young man. Like, from the things that I've heard that happened to him in his younger England years were not as pleasant. So for him to be doing anything positive now compared to what I've heard of things that he's done in the past is a pat on the back for him.
Barb, absolutely.
Is he doing anything really positive, clear. Bob?
Yeah, my intent is very clear here. I'm here to stir the pot. Can I get your attention? Come on, let's have a chat. Let me have a little talk with you. There's a reason why people like Karen Hoods don't come on these shows, like Heather Tukey Jafar, or Giraffe, whatever the fuck her name is. And no harm to these people. None at all. But what are you selling? Be, do, love, and have, and the rest of the new cager fucking bullshit that's keeping you circle? They turned the hippies into yuppies. You ready for the next phase? That's exactly what's going on here. You're going to buy into the free energy nonsense? You are God, for Christ's sake. Get over it.
It's all bullshit.
Just think about what the Borg say whenever they come across a spaceship in Star Trek. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
That's exactly what I tell these children today, that the hippies today are the ones that are making these rules and regulations that are stifling them, where they can't just go joyride during the summer in their new car that Daddy got them for graduation or for something that they did that was deserving. They had with gas at $3 and $4 a gallon. These are the same people who are making these ugly rules today are the ones who was walking around with the flowers on their head. Love everybody, just have peace. And now look at it. Look, now they got to him.
Mind you, hey, I will say, Barbara, there are a few hippies that made it through that weren't tainted, right, Steve? Neon?
Yes, you betcha, baby.
Right.
Hey, Steve.
Far out.
They were a wave, right? They were the first wave. I think I've watched a little bit of Dolores Cannon there, and that's still pretty much the only thing. You know, it gets into that, like the first wave, second wave, third wave. I mean, things are definitely by design. We're not here by accident. We're not here by chance. We're not here by coincidence. You know, everything is synchronizing and coming to its culmination. That's that word you used there with, I forget the thing you wrote, Kate, but yeah, that culmination, we're hitting that high point, and the energies that are at work, you know what I'm saying, can pull down the best of the best, you know, like Jesus said too, right? Well, the voice that spoke said that even the elite or the can be fooled, you know. So even these points of consciousness that have reached the highest level can be fooled and tricked back into being that assimilation, you know. So it's be watchful, be attentive, be alert, and listen to that highest point of who it is and what it is we truly are. And that's why that name, I'm driving that home. I'm driving that baby home because I got this.
Name is simple. Here it is. Here's how you remove your God status. Name is not applicable, magnetic electric. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, simple. Stay the course.
Amen. Amen.
And that's the highest law of all laws right there. That's the highest law right there. And that's what I'm going to put in that essay when I write and drive that home, because there is no law out there that's going to get me and trick me and fool me into giving any name. I don't give a shit what it is. That's I'm who I am, and that's what I'm going to stand on. That is my platform that I'm going to be doing, and that's going to alter, shift, shape shift definitely this energy, and you can see it already happening, Kate. You just saw that tag from that guy, and that's gonna uproot this deception of who it is people think they are. You know, and it'll literally change at a
it already
speed.
Is. Don't. Here's a little thing. Hey, Richie. Here's something, and this is a little habit I want people to break. Stop talking in past and future tense. Start talking now, because there is now, right? When you say, we're going to, no, we are. Things are going
absolutely.
to, no, it is now. And this has been, hey, listen, you've all been sieved through the calendar, okay? No. No colander for me. I'm raw, pure, and I'll take the leaves along with the seeds and everything else all at the same time here. And this is what people need to stop thinking calendar. You're sifting your thoughts. You talk now. You don't talk about what's going to be. You talk it is. You are in a state of being now. Create now.
Right.
And it's a programmed habit that we all get into it. I am doing my utmost to break that and remain in now time only. Lose the calendars. Like I have to check to see what date it is. If someone asks me, I don't know. Here, let me see. It's that time, according to. I mean, like the only thing that I work to, and it's on a rotating now cycle of here we are again now at the table. Isn't that funny? I'm always at the table for some reason. This is the most profound now that I have is when I'm at the table because I'm in the now and I stay there. And drill this home. We got about 6 minutes left. And then Stevie came in.
How can you do that and study astrology too? Kate, how can you do that?
Because because I'm looking at it every new moment of now. It's a singularity.
What if you already knew astrology and just didn't even fucking know it? You know, I have to say, we only got a few minutes left. I said, what if you already fucking knew astrology? You just didn't fucking know it. Okay, I got something to say here since we're about out of time. And I really don't give a rat's ass if it hurts anybody's feelings or not. Haven't been listening a lot lately, but I tuned in a little while ago tonight. And I must say, from my heart, I was sorely disappointed in all you assholes. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean it very politely. Kate has done a immeasurable job over the last couple of years on this platform, bringing forth some wonderful knowledge and some understanding that should have gave us and has given some of us some clarity. And I give great bows to her. And after all of this time and all of her wonderful writings and all of her input on a nightly basis, even when she didn't want to help to bring forth an understanding, for me to hear the disrespect of people jumping all over themselves because they had so much to say that they wanted to hear themselves say that had not a fucking thing to do with nothing, and didn't pay attention for one fucking minute to what she'd been teaching you all this time. It was disappointing. Now, I love you all, and I know we're all trying to make great strides in this, but I see you all get caught up in the literal so much, and it just makes me want to fucking puke. So, with that, I must say all love to all of you, and Kate, I love you, and thank you for your tolerance of our despicable us.
Do I say anything to that? That's what the table's for, guys. Lay it on the line.
Thank you. Well, may I have, I need the rest of the numbers to Mike's program for tonight, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I got the 347.
Okay. We lost him. He's not on the board. Okay. I'd have to log out of this board to get onto the other one to see it. Let me just...
Oh, no, so I can just go back to the website and stroll down.
Oh, yeah. As soon as you load up the show,
there.
yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, because I saw Paul.
And
that's
what?
The first thing I saw.
Exactly. And I got to say, Stephen, thank you for your honesty. That's one of the things I know I can always count on you for. And it's not easy, basically, calling things out. And again, and what Steve said, it's not about making wrong or anything. It's an observation, and everyone has one at this table. And I got to tell you, the things that people have to, like, I talked to a lady today who, if she comes on the air, I would love for her to share her story. it puts mine in a very pale light of what she's been through. And I was on the phone with her for about 40 minutes or so, and she spent much of that thanking me. And the whole time I'm listening to her, I'm going, no, thank you. The fact that you stood the way you did in the face of the things you had to stand in, and the fact that you're in a homeless shelter right now, and you're looking to me to say, how can I flow something at you to help? And the only thing I could say to her is, as I tell you all, take care of yourselves. This is your game to take care of you. Heal you. Heal thyself, physician. And the rest comes into play. And I got to tell you, this has been, me over the last number of months, has been probably the most profound awakening in gratitude. And that was, for me, the one thing that I had to learn, and I'm still learning, gratitude. And that might sound a bit oxymoronic coming from where I'm sitting and what I do, but that is my lesson. For me to learn gratitude. Because when you do things the way you do things, it's not that you take them for granted, but you certainly don't see the true value of what it is, of the gifts that you have been given. And this is, I get to reflect these gifts by sharing them with others. And then watching them grow. So, Steve, I thank you for your kind and harsh words at the same time. If we could all be so brutally honest with ourselves and with each other, that would be a wonderful wish and dream come true. So thank you for that. Oh, we got Mike in here, so we can share that number. Hang on, we just got him back in. So again, Stephen, thank you, and thank you all, guys. I know. We got lots of background, guys.
We got symbols going on here.
Hang on, one second. Okay, yeah, I thought it might have.
And Barbara, if you Skype that link, if you type that link in again, sometimes it's whatever show is coming next. It will put it on there. So you should see my show when you do the Gaia Sophia Dreaming show. It should pop right up there at the top. And thank you.
All right.
There you go. Yeah, sorry, there's a bit of noise in your background there, so I was just waiting for Mike to finish, and I unmuted you right on time. See how that works? Huh?
Yeah, I figured that was right.
It's got to be click, right? Oh. Anyway, I got 10 seconds to roll out here. This is a great big thank you to Paul Giovanni and the crew at criticalmassradio.co.uk. Thank you to all you guys for being the stalwarts and being at the table every night. It flows energy, and my game is quite simply to take my energy and direct it the best way I can and come across the truths that are setting humanity free. And you guys have seen it for yourselves on many occasions, the effects that the table has on a worldwide scale. And the more you see it, the more you will believe it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The more you believe it, the more you know. So know thyself and heal thyself, physician. The tree of life, the tree of knowledge is within you. And hopefully tomorrow night I will have that essay all wrapped up. And hopefully it'll be as profound as I think it's going to be. I've had some pretty interesting revelations, let's just put it that way. So much love to everybody. And again, thank you all for your blatant honesty as always. And, Mary Poppins.
Thank you too.
Screw that. We'll take the bitter pill. It's all good.
Yeah. Sure.
I have no feelings. Those bad boys with chokehold, so no one can hurt my feelings.
There you go. And again, thanks all, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow night. So much love, and stay the course, steady at the helm.
Good night.
Breathe.
Yeah, light speed, everybody. Light speed.
Love you all.
Love you all.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
You truly see how powerless and gutless these bluffers clearly are. For most people, this place is Kansas to them, very real and very physical. What they cannot see is that they have been dropped into Oz and Wonderland, fast asleep and ruled by their nightmares here. Yes, Alice, as soon as you wake up, you will find Vorpal's sword in your hand and the head of the Jabberwock lying at your feet, since lying is what the Jabberwock does best, no? So very few take the time to see this construct because they have been too specialized into one thing or another, and why the allegory of Christ being a carpenter is so revealing. A carpenter must know something about all the trades if they are to be called a master carpenter. The carpenter is the architect, and the architect is the carpenter in that they must both speak the same language if anything at all is to be built. They are the ones that oversee the surveyors, the engineers, from the backhoe operators who dig the holes of the foundations right up to the ridge caps the roofers put on. These are the same eyes one must have for the constructing of a language, as it is just another of the same fractal story. And just like every large skyscraper, though, it must have a demolition plan in place before the first stone gets placed as well. In the same way that our complicated languages are evolving, so must there have been a proto-language of the simplest form to begin with. Figure out this, and you have access to the cornerstones to bring the whole house control down. It is in our day-to-day assumptions of common speak as we have learned to assume and presume intent based on the words used to frame that intent in the same way that, do you know what you're wearing out tonight? Versus, do you know that your tires are wearing out? Have constructs around the exact same sounds of wearing out, though, by habit, you get the intent in both cases, without effort. It is this constructing of the framework that leads to the assumptions of the core sentiment, or subject, that directs the mind, not the subject itself. This is where all objectivity gets left in the mud, due to the sheer speed at which we talk and communicate. These are the habits of generations of programming, 85% of our income levels, and we think this is peachy. We built their castles, died building their cathedrals, routinely slaughter each other in sacrifice rituals we affectionately call wars instead of genocides, and we think this is somehow normal. Our movement is restricted with hall or phallus passes, called ID, with everything under the sun registered to their mother whore called the Crown Corporation. We built their government offices, their Parliament and Congress buildings, and fitted them with the finest finery, where those that get to enjoy them get paid handsomely from the blood and sweat of humanity, and we think this is somehow normal. Well, we pay for the weapons that arm their dogs of military, police, and secret services that are routinely used to hunt down anyone who chooses to see all of this insanity for what it is. Insanity. Indeed, go ahead and use their ID, their banks, their governments, because if you don't, they cannot control you where you have found being controlled as a puppet on all levels is quite acceptable to you. The TV controls your views on society with a carefully programmed input that controls the masses with the wave of their magic wand, and yes, we built those for them too, and figured out all the technologies they love to steal because they're quite incapable of creating anything. Like any good magician, worth his salt, they have directed you to pick the very card they have pre-chosen, and when it shows up, you are dazzled like a child in wonderment, in awe of their skill. Some of us have seen through these tricks and sleights of hand to come to know that they are only bluffing, because bluffing is all they have. And the only tool that empowers their bluff is fear. There is a planet full of 12-year-old scared little girls, and the creepy guy with the offers of candy owns them with that fear and promise of candy. There are very few grown-ups that I have ever met, but they are typically the ones that get hassled by this creepy old guy and his dogs for exposing his pedophilic raping tendencies. When you stand in the power of truth, coming out, this is one of the joys of this is watching people when posts come in or whatever. It's where you see the confirmations of all the things that we've been talking about. And again, these are different points of consciousness that, well, in my case, I haven't had any contact with or whatever, and lo and behold, sharing the same things, and this is how you know the consciousness is resonating, and this is why you know we do this together, and just have a lot of bliss when you see that. So here we go. I'll just go through what I've got, and then this one, she'll be a doozy when I'm done. But like I said, was off track a little bit with phone calls and whatnot. So no worries. I mean, it's all good. Just I wanted to have this finished, but it doesn't matter. All things in time, all things for a reason. Everything's perfect. So no stress. So jack of all trades, master of none. The subtleties or subtel ties of our languages and the coercion or heart shun of the sounds are quite something, in that every sound is a magnetic electric creation of energy of the highest order. If one controls the intent via deceptions in these sounds, one creates the creation of the reality itself. It's how universes are created, after all, and how one reality or another is maintained, as long as you can dupe any and all other creators via their own ignorance into doing that. In this world, that is achieved quite easily where, like children drawn to an amusement park or a toy store, we are then trapped within our own creativity at the behest and control of another. We truly have built the better mousetrap and baited it for ourselves. We create and build all the toys of industry, the cars, the homes, the skyscrapers, the courts, the jails, to keep ourselves captive while those that control our lives profit, sit back on their yachts and in their castles that we built for them, and they laugh. We built their banks that control all flows of money while they steal from our supposed compensation from each other to the 90. It's that looking for the land as you've been at sea for so long and you're out of supplies, your crew's got scurvy, you've been in the doldrums and came through the Sargasso Sea and survived that. You've survived all the pollution jeers, all the plastic floating around and the different jeers around the planet, lovely stuff that. But to finally see over the horizon that little bit of land, and that's where you're yelling, land ho, yeah, from your crow's nest, because that's where you're going to be the cause, at the highest point of your mast, at the highest point of your ship. And there are many that are starting to call land ho, and it's pretty cool. So what I think I will do, like I said, I haven't got this done by any stretch. I did add a bit more. I shared a few paragraphs this afternoon on criticalmassradio.co.uk, the afternoon Outside the Box UK edition that I do usually every Tuesday. Right now it's from 2 until 4 p.m., but typically from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard on Tuesdays. So this is the 2 for Tuesday. And I'm going to share what I've got right now. Just got to double check a couple of things here. There we go. And where are we? Yeah, it's called Jack of All Trades and Master of None. Yeah, well, it's spelled a little differently, but you know how I spell. And I like to make things blatantly obvious. And this is exactly what I'm going to do in this particular essay. Because the simple trick is this. If one sound can contain numerous different intentions within it, could it not be rational and reasonable to consider that there was a malfeasant intent placed in there in the most sublime, most innocent ways, so that you would be saying things and literally creating your own death and destruction with simple terms? And this goes back a long time, and it's beautiful to see it turning full circle with people.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Good evening, welcome to Outside the Box. Yours truly, Kate of Gaia, here on criticalmassradio.co.uk, coming at you live from an undisclosed location somewhere in the universe. And that's all that really matters. Yeah, sorry, just plugging away there on that essay. Got a little more written on it. Ended up in a couple of conversations after the show, so no worries. I mean, that's just the way things go. And it's amazing. I can't even describe a lot of the times some of the phone calls and what have you that come in, but it just let it be known that guys, you're making the change. This is changing, and it's phone calls that I, especially of late, and the different discussions that we've been having that don't just add reason to doing what it is we're doing, and if the ego needs justified of I knew I was right, that pales in comparison to the reality of knowing that humanity is awakening, and it's awakening quickly. And like I said, I've talked to some people, one in particular today, that has been through a proverbial mill, where I count my blessings as having not had to endure quite such a journey to maintain the road I'm on. And I got to tell you, it is more than inspiring to know that regardless, there are points of consciousness out there of you and I that you're just not going to yield. You're just not going to let go. And that's exactly all I ever look for